Daniel was a single father and a veteran. He had served his country for many years and returned home with both pride and pain. His life was not easy after leaving the army. He worked long hours at different jobs to provide for his 10-year-old daughter, Mia. Money was always tight, and finding a safe and steady home was a constant worry. Some nights, Daniel would sit at the small kitchen table, sipping lukewarm coffee, while Mia did her homework. He would look at her and feel both love and fear. He wanted to give her everything, but the world often seemed unfair. One rainy afternoon, Daniel received a letter that smelled old and looked worn. The envelope had no return address, and his name was written in elegant handwriting. Curiosity mixed with caution as he opened it. Inside was a letter that changed everything. It said he had inherited a mansion from a distant relative he had never met. The letter explained that the house had been abandoned for many years, and no one had lived there for decades. The mansion was located in a quiet town, far from the busy city, surrounded by large trees and open land. Daniel could not believe it. A mansion was far beyond anything he had ever imagined. At first, he doubted the truth of the letter. Why would someone leave such a place to him? He did not have much family, and he barely knew any distant relatives. Yet the thought of a home, a place where he and Mia could finally feel safe, grew stronger with each passing minute. After thinking for a day and discussing it with Mia, Daniel decided they would go. He packed their few belongings and they prepared for the journey. The drive to the mansion was long and the road wound through forests and hills. Mia pressed her face against the car window, staring at the tall trees and green fields. She had never seen anything like it. "Dad, it feels like a fairy tale," she said, her eyes shining with excitement. Daniel smiled but remained thoughtful. He could feel a strange energy in the air, something that made him uneasy and curious at the same time. When they finally arrived, the mansion appeared even larger than Daniel had imagined. It was a tall old building with ivy growing along the walls and cracks in the stone. The windows were dusty, some broken, and the gates creaked as he pushed them open. The house looked abandoned, yet it had a quiet beauty. Daniel parked the car and stepped out, feeling the chill of the evening air. Mia ran ahead, her laughter echoing across the empty yard. "Come on, Dad, let's explore." Inside, the mansion smelled of age and dust. Wooden floors creaked under their feet and cobwebs hung from the high ceilings. The walls were faded and old paintings stared down at them with eyes that seemed alive. Despite the emptiness, Daniel felt a strange sense of hope. This place could be their new home. He imagined fixing the broken windows, cleaning the rooms, and finally giving Mia a stable life. As they walked through the mansion, Daniel noticed something unusual. Some doors were locked from the inside. Strange marks were on the walls, faint but deliberate, as if someone had left messages long ago. The air was heavy and quiet, except for the sound of the wind moving through the old trees outside. Daniel felt a shiver. Something about the mansion seemed alive, watching them. That evening, Daniel and Mia tried to settle into the master bedroom. The room was enormous, with a large bed, dusty curtains, and a fireplace that had not been used in years. Mia climbed onto the bed with excitement, her small voice full of wonder. "Dad, this is amazing. We have so much space. I can have a room for my books, a corner for my toys, and even a place for painting." Daniel smiled and hugged her close. Night fell, and the mansion grew darker. Shadows stretched across the walls, and every creak of the old building made Daniel alert. He tried to ignore the strange feeling in his chest, but it was hard. Suddenly, a loud thump echoed from somewhere deep inside the mansion. Mia jumped and held on to her father. "What was that?" she whispered, her voice trembling. Daniel did not answer immediately. He listened carefully, his heart beating faster. He held Mia close, comforting her. "It is probably nothing, just the old house settling," he said, though even he was not sure. That night, as they lay on the old bed, Daniel stared into the darkness and realized their new life had begun. He also realized that the mansion might hold secrets that could change their lives forever. The next morning, Daniel woke early. Sunlight spilled through the dusty windows, painting the room in golden light. Mia was already awake, sitting on the bed with a small notebook in her hands. She was drawing the mansion and the garden outside. Her eyes sparkled with curiosity and excitement. Daniel watched her quietly, feeling grateful that she could find joy even in such a strange and old place. After breakfast, Daniel decided to explore the mansion more carefully. The day before, they had only walked through the main rooms. Today, He wanted to see the rest of the house. He grabbed a flashlight and called Mia. "Come on, Mia, let's see what else is in this house." She ran to him eagerly, clutching her notebook. They started with the hallway on the second floor. The floorboards creaked under their feet and the walls were lined with old paintings. Some of the paintings were of people they did not recognize. Others were of landscapes, trees, and lakes. Daniel felt a strange connection to the house as he walked past them. It was as if the mansion held memories of the people who had lived there before. As they moved further, Daniel noticed a door partially hidden behind a large wardrobe. The door was small and the handle was rusty. He tried to open it, but it was locked. Daniel frowned and examined the door. He tapped on the wood lightly and heard a hollow sound. It seemed there was a room behind it that had been empty for a long time. Mia peeked at him with wide eyes. "Do you think there is something inside?" she asked. Daniel smiled gently. "We will find out later, Mia. Let's keep exploring for now." They walked down another hallway and found a room that looked like a library. Dust covered the shelves, but the books were still neatly arranged. Mia ran her fingers over the spines, fascinated by the titles. Daniel picked up a few books and blew off the dust. Some were old journals written in careful handwriting. He opened one and read a few lines. The journal spoke of family events, daily life, and strange occurrences in the house. Daniel felt a chill as he read. The journal mentioned that the mansion had hidden passages and secret rooms. It said the house had been built with unusual designs meant to keep some things hidden. Daniel closed the journal slowly. He wondered what secrets the mansion was holding and whether they would be good or dangerous. Mia, sensing his seriousness, held his hand. "Dad, it's exciting. Maybe the mansion wants us to find something," she said. As they explored more, they reached the attic. The stairs were steep and the air grew colder as they climbed. When they reached the top, Daniel shone the flashlight around the room. The attic was full of old furniture covered in white sheets. There were trunks, boxes, and paintings stacked against the walls. Daniel lifted one of the sheets and saw a small wooden box. The box was locked, but the lock was old and fragile. He carefully opened the box and found old letters, photographs, and a key. The letters were written long ago by someone who had lived in the house. The photographs showed people Daniel did not know, standing in the same rooms they were exploring. He showed the key to Mia. "I think this key opens one of the locked doors in the house," he said. Mia's eyes widened. "Maybe it's the hidden room," she said excitedly. Daniel felt a mixture of fear and curiosity. He realized that the mansion was more than just an old building. It was a place with history, memories, and secrets waiting to be discovered. They spent the entire day exploring the rooms and corridors, finding small clues that hinted at something larger hidden within the mansion. As evening approached, Daniel and Mia returned to the master bedroom, carrying a few of the journals and photographs. The mansion seemed quieter now, almost as if it was watching them. Mia sat on the bed looking at the pictures. "Dad, I feel like the house is alive," she said softly. Daniel nodded, feeling the same thought. There was a strange energy in the mansion, something that made him both uneasy and determined. He knew that their journey had only just begun, and that the mansion had many secrets yet to reveal. That night, Daniel placed the key and letters on the bedside table. He lay down next to Mia and held her close. The wind whispered through the broken windows, and somewhere deep in the mansion, a faint sound echoed like a door opening and closing. Daniel stared at the ceiling, thinking about the hidden rooms, the journals, and the key. He realized that their new home was not only a place of shelter, but also a place of discovery, mystery, and adventure. The next morning, Daniel woke with a sense of determination. The key he had found in the attic burned in his pocket. He did not know which door it opened, but he was certain that the mansion held answers waiting to be discovered. Mia sat at the small table, drawing pictures of the mansion and marking the rooms they had already explored. Her curiosity was endless, and Daniel admired her courage. After breakfast, Daniel decided to try the small hidden door they had discovered behind the wardrobe. He knelt down, inserted the key into the rusty lock, and turned it carefully. The lock clicked and the door creaked open. Dust floated in the air and a faint smell of old wood came out from the dark space. Daniel held the flashlight and motioned for Mia to come closer. The room was small and narrow, almost like a secret hallway. The walls were lined with faded wallpaper, and old shelves stood along one side. On the shelves were strange objects covered in dust. Daniel picked up a small bronze statue and turned it in his hands. It was beautifully carved but worn by time. Mia ran her fingers over the objects with wonder, her imagination alive with stories of hidden treasures and secret adventures. They followed the hallway, which twisted and turned in ways that did not match the main structure of the mansion. The floor creaked under their feet and the air was cooler than the rest of the house. At the end of the hall they found a door. Unlike the others, this door had no lock. It opened easily, revealing a room filled with old furniture, paintings, and a large chest in the center. Daniel and Mia approached the chest cautiously. The wood was carved with intricate patterns and it looked as though it had been made to protect something valuable. Daniel opened it slowly and found piles of old documents, letters, and photographs. The letters were from someone named William, a man who had lived in the mansion many years ago. The documents described the construction of the mansion, secret rooms, and hidden passages. Mia picked up a photograph and showed it to Daniel. It was a picture of a family standing in one of the rooms they had already seen. They looked happy, but their eyes carried a serious expression, as if they knew something important. Daniel felt a shiver. The mansion was not just abandoned. It was a place full of stories and secrets that had been carefully hidden for generations. As they explored the room further, Daniel discovered a trapdoor under a rug. He lifted it carefully and saw a narrow staircase leading down into darkness. He turned to Mia. "We need to be careful. I think this leads to another part of the mansion that no one has seen for years." Mia nodded eagerly, her fear mixed with excitement. They descended slowly, the stairs creaking under their weight. The air grew colder, and the smell of earth and wood filled their senses. At the bottom of the stairs, they entered a small underground chamber. The walls were lined with shelves filled with books, scrolls, and old objects. Candles long melted left wax stains on the floor. It looked like a secret study or archive. Daniel picked up one of the books and opened it. It was a journal, similar to the one they had found in the attic, but older. The writing described strange events in the mansion, objects moving on their own, doors opening without explanation, and hidden rooms appearing and disappearing. The journal warned anyone who entered to be careful and respectful. Mia looked around the chamber in awe. "Dad, it's like a secret world," she said softly. Daniel nodded. He realized that this mansion was not just a house. It was a living story waiting to be uncovered. Every room, every object, every document held a piece of history. They spent hours reading the journals, examining the objects, and imagining the lives of the people who had lived there. By the time they returned upstairs, the sun was setting, and the mansion was bathed in a warm golden light. Daniel felt both exhausted and excited. He knew that the mansion held many more secrets, and they had only just begun to uncover them. Mia held his hand tightly as they walked to the master bedroom. "Dad, tomorrow we will find more," she said with a smile. Daniel smiled back. He felt ready for whatever the mansion had in store for them. That night, as he lay in bed with Mia, Daniel realized that their new home was not only a place for shelter. It was a place of adventure, mystery, and discovery. The mansion had chosen them, and now it was up to them to uncover its hidden stories. The next morning, Daniel woke early, feeling a mix of excitement and caution. The mansion had already revealed some of its secrets, but he knew there was more to discover. Mia was waiting for him in the kitchen, her eyes bright with curiosity. She had been thinking about the hidden chamber all night and could barely contain her excitement. "Dad, we have to explore more today. There could be another secret room," she said, bouncing on her toes. Daniel smiled, appreciating her energy. "You are right, Mia, but we have to be careful and take our time." After breakfast, Daniel grabbed the key they had found in the attic. He wanted to see if it could open any other locked doors in the mansion. They walked slowly through the hallways, examining each door and noticing the details that had gone unnoticed before. Some doors were locked, some were broken, and others seemed ordinary. Finally, they reached a door at the end of the east wing. It was large and made of dark wood, with intricate carvings that glimmered in the sunlight. Daniel inserted the key and turned it. The lock clicked open, and the door slowly creaked as it swung inward. Inside, the room was unlike any they had seen before. The walls were covered with old maps, some of them faded and torn at the edges. Shelves were filled with objects that looked ancient. Old clocks, statues, and boxes with strange symbols carved into them. In the center of the room was a large table covered in papers, sketches, and strange tools. Daniel could feel the history in the room, as if it had been waiting for them for decades. Mia ran her fingers over the maps. "Dad, look! Some of these maps have the mansion on them, but there are parts we haven't seen," she said excitedly. Daniel leaned over the table and examined the maps closely. Indeed, there were corridors, rooms, and hidden passages marked that they had not discovered yet. It was as if the mansion itself was guiding them to explore further. As they looked around, Daniel noticed a small, old book partially hidden under a pile of papers. He opened it carefully. The pages were filled with notes about the mansion, its history, and the people who had lived there. One section described a room that was never meant to be found, a place where the original owner had kept something very important. Daniel's heart raced. Could this be another secret hidden in the mansion? Mia pointed to a strange mark on the wall. It was a small symbol carved into the wood, almost hidden. "Dad, maybe this symbol is a clue," she said. Daniel nodded. The mansion seemed to be full of puzzles, guiding them to discover its secrets step by step. They spent the day exploring the rooms marked on the old maps. Some doors were easy to open. Others required careful searching, and a few remained locked. Each room had something unique: old furniture, mysterious objects, or paintings that seemed to watch them. Daniel felt both amazed and slightly uneasy. The mansion was beautiful, but it held a sense of mystery that made him cautious. Late in the afternoon, they discovered a small door behind a heavy curtain in one of the hallways. It was barely noticeable, and the key they had did not fit. Daniel pushed it gently, and to his surprise, it opened. Inside was a narrow staircase leading downwards. They descended carefully, the air growing cooler with each step. At the bottom, they found a small stone room. In the center was a pedestal with a wooden box on it. The box was plain, but it seemed important, as if it had been waiting for them. Daniel lifted the lid slowly and found old letters, a journal, and a small locket. The letters described the life of the mansion's original owner and hinted at a treasure of knowledge and memories hidden inside the house. Mia opened the locket and saw a tiny photograph of a family standing in the mansion. She smiled. "Dad, this mansion really keeps its stories," she said softly. Daniel nodded. He realized that the mansion was not just a place to live. It was a place that held history, memories, and mysteries that connected the past with the present. As they returned upstairs, Daniel felt a mixture of awe and responsibility. The mansion had chosen them to uncover its secrets, and he knew their journey was far from over.
Mia held his hand tightly, full of excitement and trust.
Daniel looked at the house around them and smiled. They had found another secret today, but he was sure there were many more waiting to be discovered. That night, as he lay in bed with Mia, Daniel felt a sense of wonder. The mansion was alive with stories, and they were part of it now. He knew that their new home was more than just a place to live. It was a place of adventure, mystery, and discovery, and their journey had only just begun. The next morning, Daniel woke early, feeling a mix of excitement and caution. The mansion had already revealed some of its secrets, but he knew there was more to discover. Mia was waiting for him in the kitchen, her eyes bright with curiosity. She had been thinking about the hidden chamber all night and could barely contain her excitement. "Dad, we have to explore more today. There could be another secret room," she said, bouncing on her toes. Daniel smiled, appreciating her energy. "You are right, Mia, but we have to be careful and take our time." After breakfast, Daniel grabbed the key they had found in the attic. He wanted to see if it could open any other locked doors in the mansion. They walked slowly through the hallways, examining each door and noticing the details that had gone unnoticed before. Some doors were locked, some were broken, and others seemed ordinary. Finally, they reached a door at the end of the east wing. It was large and made of dark wood, with intricate carvings that glimmered in the sunlight. Daniel inserted the key and turned it. The lock clicked open, and the door slowly creaked as it swung inward. Inside, the room was unlike any they had seen before. The walls were covered with old maps, some of them faded and torn at the edges. Shelves were filled with objects that looked ancient: old clocks, statues, and boxes with strange symbols carved into them. In the center of the room was a large table covered in papers, sketches, and strange tools. Daniel could feel the history in the room, as if it had been waiting for them for decades. Mia ran her fingers over the maps. "Dad, look! Some of these maps have the mansion on them, but there are parts we haven't seen," she said excitedly. Daniel leaned over the table and examined the maps closely. Indeed, there were corridors, Rooms and hidden passages marked that they had not discovered yet. It was as if the mansion itself was guiding them to explore further. As they looked around, Daniel noticed a small old book partially hidden under a pile of papers. He opened it carefully. The pages were filled with notes about the mansion, its history, and the people who had lived there. One section described a room that was never meant to be found, a place where the original owner had kept something very important. Daniel's heart raced. Could this be another secret hidden in the mansion? Mia pointed to a strange mark on the wall. It was a small symbol carved into the wood, almost hidden. "Dad, maybe this symbol is a clue," she said. Daniel nodded. The mansion seemed to be full of puzzles, guiding them to discover its secrets step by step. They spent the day exploring the rooms marked on the old maps. Some doors were easy to open, others required careful searching, and a few remained locked. Each room had something unique: old furniture, mysterious objects, or paintings that seemed to watch them. Daniel felt both amazed and slightly uneasy. The mansion was beautiful, but it held a sense of mystery that made him cautious. Late in the afternoon, they discovered a small door behind a heavy curtain in one of the hallways. It was barely noticeable, and the key they had did not fit. Daniel pushed it gently, and to his surprise, it opened. Inside was a narrow staircase leading downwards. They descended carefully, the air growing cooler with each step. At the bottom, they found a small stone room. In the center was a pedestal with a wooden box on it. The box was plain, but it seemed important, as if it had been waiting for them. Daniel lifted the lid slowly and found old letters, a journal, and a small locket. The letters described the life of the mansion's original owner and hinted at a treasure of knowledge and memories hidden inside the house. Mia opened the locket and saw a tiny photograph of a family standing in the mansion. She smiled. "Dad, this mansion really keeps its stories," she said softly. Daniel nodded. He realized that the mansion was not just a place to live. It was a place that held history, memories, and mysteries that connected the past with the present. As they returned upstairs, Daniel felt a mixture of awe and responsibility. The mansion had chosen them to uncover its secrets, and he knew their journey was far from over. Mia held his hand tightly, full of excitement and trust. Daniel looked at the house around them and smiled. They had found another secret today, but he was sure there were many more waiting to be discovered. That night, as he lay in bed with Mia, Daniel felt a sense of wonder. The mansion was alive with stories, and they were part of it now. He knew that their new home was more than just a place to live. It was a place of adventure, mystery, and discovery, and their journey had only just begun. The next morning, Daniel awoke feeling a mix of excitement and caution. The mansion had already shown them hidden rooms and secret passages, but he knew there were still many mysteries waiting to be uncovered. Mia was already up, sitting at the table with her notebook, drawing the map of the mansion as she imagined it. "Dad, I think today we should explore the West Wing," Mia said eagerly. "It is the part we have not seen yet, and maybe there is another secret there." Daniel smiled, admiring her courage and curiosity. "You are right, Mia, but we need to be careful. We do not know what is inside." They walked down the main hallway, passing familiar rooms they had already explored. The mansion was quiet except for the soft creaks of the old wooden floorboards. The air smelled faintly of dust and wood, and sunlight streamed through the tall windows, making the dust particles glow like tiny stars. As they reached the West Wing, Daniel noticed that the doors were larger and more ornate than the others. Some had carvings of animals, others had strange symbols he did not recognize. He tried one of the doors, but it was locked. He used the key from the attic, and it fit. The door creaked open slowly, revealing a long room filled with old furniture, broken chairs, and shelves stacked with books. Mia ran ahead, her eyes wide with curiosity. "Dad, look at all the books. There must be hundreds of them," she said. Daniel followed, examining the shelves carefully. Some books were thick and heavy, their pages yellowed with age. Others were small journals written in careful handwriting. He picked up one of the journals and opened it. It spoke of the mansion's past, the people who had lived there, and strange events that had happened over the years. As they read, Daniel noticed a loose floorboard near the corner of the room. He knelt down and lifted it carefully. Beneath it was a small metal box, old and rusty. He opened it slowly and found a collection of old keys, each different in shape and size. Alongside the keys were small notes written in the same careful handwriting as the journals. The notes described rooms and passages, some of which they had not yet discovered. Mia's eyes sparkled. "Dad, maybe one of these keys opens another secret room," she said. Daniel nodded. "I think you are right, Mia. We have more exploring to do." They spent the morning trying the keys on several locked doors in the west wing. Most did not fit, but finally, one key opened a small door hidden behind a large bookcase. Daniel pushed the door open and revealed a narrow staircase leading down into darkness. The air was cooler, and the smell of earth and old wood grew stronger. Daniel held Mia's hand as they descended the stairs. At the bottom, they found a small stone chamber. The walls were lined with shelves filled with old books, scrolls, and objects covered in dust. In the center of the room was a pedestal with a box on it. Daniel lifted the lid carefully and discovered old letters, journals, and a small, intricately carved wooden figure. As he examined the letters, he realized that they told a story of the mansion's original owner, someone who had hidden knowledge and secrets throughout the house. The letters hinted at rooms that appeared only when certain objects were moved or certain doors were opened. Daniel felt a thrill. The mansion was alive with secrets waiting to be discovered. Suddenly, Mia pointed to a corner of the chamber. There was a faint glow coming from behind a stack of old boxes. Daniel approached and found a small crystal set into the wall. As he touched it, a section of the wall slid open, revealing another hidden passage. Mia gasped. "Dad, there is another secret." Daniel smiled, feeling a mix of excitement and responsibility. They stepped into the new passage carefully. It was narrow and dark, and they moved slowly, listening to the sound of their footsteps echoing off the walls. At the end of the passage, they found a room filled with old maps, journals, and objects that looked ancient. It was clear that this room had been hidden for a reason. Daniel realized that the mansion was far more than a house. It was a place of knowledge, history, and mystery. As they returned upstairs, Daniel felt a mixture of awe and curiosity. The mansion had more secrets than he had ever imagined, and each discovery made him feel more connected to the place. Mia held his hand tightly, full of excitement and trust. Daniel knew that their journey was far from over, and the mansion had many more surprises waiting for them. That night, as he lay in bed with Mia, Daniel felt a sense of wonder. The mansion was alive, filled with stories, secrets, and mysteries that they had only begun to uncover. He realized that their new home was not just a place for shelter. It was a place of adventure and discovery, and they were part of its story now. The next morning, Daniel woke with a strong sense that today would be different. The mansion had already revealed so many secrets, but something inside him told him there was still one discovery waiting that would change everything. Mia was already awake, sitting by the window looking out at the garden. Her eyes were bright and full of anticipation. "Dad, do you think today we will find something really special?" she asked. Daniel smiled and nodded. "I think we might, Mia, but we must be careful. The mansion has a way of surprising us." After breakfast, they decided to explore the passages they had discovered in the West Wing more carefully. Daniel carried the journals, the letters, and the key, hoping they might offer clues. The mansion was quiet, except for the soft creaks of the old floors and the faint whistle of the wind outside. Every corner seemed to watch them, as if the house itself knew they were searching for something important. As they entered the hidden passage they had found the day before, Daniel noticed a small door at the end. Unlike other doors, this one had no handle. Instead, there was a symbol carved into the wood, a symbol that matched one of the drawings in the journals they had discovered. Daniel traced the symbol with his finger and felt a small button beneath it. He pressed it and the door slowly opened, revealing a narrow staircase leading downward. Mia's eyes widened. "Dad, this is amazing. It feels like we are going into a secret world." Daniel smiled. "Yes, Mia, but we need to be careful. We do not know what is down there." They descended the stairs slowly, the air growing cooler and the darkness deeper. At the bottom, they entered a large chamber. The walls were lined with shelves filled with old books, scrolls, and strange objects. In the center of the room was a pedestal with a large chest on it. Daniel approached carefully, feeling a mix of curiosity and caution. He opened the chest and gasped. Inside were old documents, letters, and objects that looked incredibly valuable. Among them was a thick leather-bound book. Daniel opened it and saw that it was a detailed journal, written by the mansion's original owner. The journal described the mansion as a place of knowledge where every room, object, and secret was carefully planned. It revealed that the mansion was not only a home, but a place where ideas, history, and wisdom had been preserved for generations. Mia picked up a small golden key from the chest. "Dad, maybe this key opens another secret room," she said excitedly. Daniel nodded. "I think you are right. Let's see where it leads." Following the journal's instructions, Daniel and Mia found a hidden door behind one of the bookshelves. The golden key fit perfectly. As the door opened, they discovered a small room filled with paintings and artifacts. The paintings were of people Daniel did not recognize, but their expressions were kind and welcoming. Among the artifacts was a small chest with a delicate lock. Daniel opened it slowly and found letters, journals, and a small, beautifully carved locket. He opened the locket and saw a tiny portrait of the mansion's original owner with a child. The letters described how the mansion had been a place for family, learning, and discovery. It had been designed to protect memories, knowledge, and treasures from being forgotten. Mia looked around in awe. "Dad, the mansion is like a storybook. Every room has a secret and every object has a story." Daniel nodded, feeling a sense of awe himself. He realized that the mansion was more than just a home. It was a place filled with history, love, and wisdom waiting to be shared. As they returned upstairs, Daniel felt a mixture of amazement and gratitude. The mansion had revealed one of its greatest secrets, and he knew there were still many more waiting. Mia held his hand tightly, her eyes full of excitement. Daniel realized that their life in the mansion would not just be about living. It would be about discovering, learning, and growing together. That night, as he lay in bed with Mia, Daniel thought about the journey they had already taken. The mansion was not just a house. It was a living story full of history, secrets, and discoveries. He knew that every day in this house would bring new adventures, and he felt ready for all of them. Mia fell asleep with a smile, dreaming of hidden passages and secret rooms. Daniel closed his eyes, feeling a sense of peace. For the first time in years, he felt that they truly belonged somewhere. The next morning, Daniel woke with a feeling that today would bring the mansion's most important secret. Mia was already awake, sitting by the window with her notebook, drawing the mansion and the hidden rooms they had discovered. Her excitement was contagious, and Daniel felt a mixture of anticipation and determination. "Dad, I think today we will find the final secret," Mia said, her eyes sparkling. Daniel smiled. "You might be right, Mia, but we must be careful. The mansion has surprises, and we need to be ready for anything." After breakfast, they prepared to explore the mansion with the journals, letters, and keys they had collected. Every room they had opened seemed to lead to another, and Daniel realized that the mansion was like a puzzle, with each piece revealing a part of its history. He felt a mix of excitement and caution as they walked through the hallways. They decided to start in the hidden chamber they had discovered in Part E6. Daniel carefully carried the leather-bound journal from the chest while Mia clutched her notebook. The passage leading to the chamber was quiet, the only sound their footsteps echoing softly. When they arrived, the air felt cooler, and the chamber seemed alive with energy. Daniel placed the journal on the pedestal and opened it. The pages described the mansion's history in detail. It told of the original owner, a kind and wise person who had designed the mansion to protect not just treasures, but knowledge and memories. The journal mentioned one final secret, something that had been hidden to keep the mansion's story safe for generations. Mia pointed to a part of the wall where the journal indicated there was a hidden panel. Daniel examined it closely and found a small groove. He pressed it gently, and the panel slid open to reveal a narrow staircase leading downward. The air smelled faintly of earth and old wood. Daniel took Mia's hand, and they descended carefully. At the bottom, they entered a large room unlike any they had seen before. The walls were covered in paintings and tapestries, and the room was filled with sunlight from a small window near the ceiling. In the center was a large wooden chest, beautifully carved and shining even though it was old. Daniel approached it slowly. He opened the chest and gasped. Inside were dozens of letters, journals, and objects that told the complete story of the mansion. There were letters from the original owner to family members, journals describing the building of secret rooms, and maps showing hidden passages throughout the house. There were even old toys, photographs, and keepsakes meant to be preserved for future generations. Mia picked up a small locket from the chest. She opened it and found a tiny photograph of the mansion's original owner with a child. "Dad, this is amazing. The mansion was meant to protect stories and memories," she said softly. Daniel nodded. He realized that the mansion was not just a home. It was a place where history, family, and knowledge had been kept alive, waiting for someone like them to continue the story. As they explored further, Daniel found a letter addressed to him. The letter explained that the mansion had chosen a guardian, someone who would take care of its secrets and continue its legacy. The words made Daniel's heart race. The mansion had chosen him and Mia to be its caretakers, to live there and protect the stories hidden within its walls. Mia hugged Daniel tightly. "Dad, we are part of the mansion now. We belong here," she said. Daniel smiled, feeling a deep sense of peace. All the uncertainty, all the struggles they had faced led them to this moment. They had found a home, a place filled with mystery, history, and love. As evening fell, Daniel and Mia walked through the mansion one last time. The house seemed to glow, alive with the stories they had discovered. Daniel knew that there would be more secrets to uncover, more mysteries to explore, but he felt ready. The mansion was not just a house. It was a living story, and they were now part of it. That night, Daniel tucked Mia into bed. She looked at him with sleepy eyes. "Dad, tomorrow we can explore more, right?" she whispered. Daniel smiled and kissed her forehead. "Yes, Mia. The mansion will always have more for us to discover." As he lay in bed, Daniel felt a sense of belonging he had never known before. The mansion had given them a home, a purpose, and a connection to something greater than themselves. For the first time in years, Daniel knew that they had truly found where they belonged. The mansion's secrets were theirs to protect, and their new life had only just begun.